Hi, this is Mrs. Frost, and this is our weekly overview video for the week of October 26th through the 30th for our Language 7 class. I'm about to go into what we're going to be doing each day of the week, but I also want to share, if you have not already, please watch this video on how to check your grade so you know how to use this grades tab to keep track of what your current class grade is, and if you have it, and you can easily tell if you have any missing assignments or whatnot. And if you have any questions about how to use it, please let me know. Alright, so next, after you're in our class home, we're going to go to our plan. Alright, then I'm going to pick the week, the 26th through using the calendar on the right, to the 30th. And on Monday, I suggest you go ahead and look at this screen, and from here you can tell several things. You can tell that if there's a lesson every day, right? On mine it's orange, so yours might be a different color. And you can also tell if there is a more than one component, and also you can tell, meaning like here on Monday there's 3, Tuesday 1, Wednesday 1, Thursday 3, and Tuesday or Friday 2. You can also tell if there's a quiz that day. Those are the lesson checks. You can tell if there's going to be an assignment to hand in through the Dropbox. You can tell again on Thursday there's an assignment, a lesson check, and on Friday there's a discussion. So opening up your plan on Monday and will help you plan your week and each individual day, because you'll get an idea of how much time you have to set aside for language arts that day. You can expect that language arts will take anywhere between 40 and an hour and a half. Alright, cool. So I'm on 2.08, which is Monday. You know that this chain link in the orange, that means it's an open, it'll open a lesson for you. So I'm opening that up. And I want to point out a couple things. You can tell at the bottom how many slides there are in that, and this is like our book. I call them slides, but this is like our textbook. And you can tell how many slides you're going to be needing to go through. Maybe that can help you decide if you need a break or not. So I want to just go through here real quick and show you slide 8. Get ahead here. Alright, so slide 8 starts your complex sentences, so your grammar portion of this 2.08. And it goes all the way through slides 12. But a couple things I wanted to point out is that you should take notes on this, and at the end of this lesson you should be able to identify all of these features and be able to locate them in sentences. You should know that a complex sentence has one independent clause and one subordinate clause. Further, that means you need to know what an independent and subordinate clause are. So one of them has a complete thought, it's independent, it's complete. And one is subordinate. It does not express a complete thought. It's dependent on the rest of the sentence to give you the full information. So make sure you're able to, you take notes on that, and you're able to locate those and tell the difference between complex sentences with independent or subordinate clauses. Alright, cool. The next thing I wanted to point out in 2.08 was slide 10. So let me get there. Alright, if you already took 2.06, you would know that you needed to know this to pass 2.06 from this week, the week that I'm taping this video. But you need to know all of these things for the rest of this unit and for the module exam. So take notes and make sure that you're able to identify a simple, a compound, and a complex sentence and what the features of each are. And these are the features. Okay? It's what they contain. The features are what they contain. So take notes on that and make sure you are, then you have it to study for your lesson checks and also your end of the unit module exam. Alright, cool. The next thing I wanted to point out was 12, so let me get there. Alright, so 11 and 12, they just showed what more practice. So they're giving you all this practice because it's important that you know it. This is slide 13 in 2.08, and it goes over the vocabulary. So I made a study stack that I'll share the link to, and it's a website where you can play interactive games and practice using these words from this unit module. Alright, 14 is your assignment, because remember 2.08 has 4 parts. It has this assignment, where you're going to describe the use of irony in Charles, Gift of the Magi, and the necklace. And then it has a rubric for it. Let me get that open. And let's see. I have tons of rubrics open for this whole thing, so let me make sure I have the right one. All right. Yes, so what I'm going to be doing is using this rubric to evaluate. So you should also use this rubric to evaluate your work. And you can tell that what's going to be exemplary, proficient, emerging, or not evident across the top, with the exemplary being the highest and not evident being the lowest grade. It is going to look at each story, Charles, the Gift of the Magi, and the necklace, and see how well you pointed out some uses of irony in each of those stories. So that is, in a nutshell, 2.08 and the assignment. And then the last thing I wanted to point out on 2.08, which is Monday, is make sure that you're able to answer these questions before you take the lesson check. If you can't answer what the difference between an independent and subordinate clause, you didn't take those notes earlier, go back and do it now. If you can't answer what a complex sentence is, define its traits, and be able to recognize one, go back and do the review in this lesson or in 2.06. So this here tells you is a predictor, how well you can answer these questions is a predictor of how well you'll do on the lesson check. Alright, so now I'm going to go back to our class plan. And I'm going to go back to the week. So Tuesday. On Tuesday, you have one lesson, and it's called Are You an Author? You can tell that it's only the lesson, so there aren't any discussion posts or items to turn in. You can open it up, and you'll see that it is starting to get you going for your Module 2 Ultimate project, which is in addition to your portfolio item. So keep in mind you're going to need another portfolio item from Unit 2, and then just like in Module 1. And then also you're going to be writing a fictional narrative in Module 2. So it's going to start looking at just different features of a narrative. And I wanted to show slide 4, so let me get there real quick. Alright, so you're going to keep seeing these words and these terms. Make sure you're able to define these and locate these in a piece of writing. You need to know what all of these things are. They're pretty basic, but make sure that you know what they are. Alright, cool. I'm going to go to Wednesdays now. That was the highlight from 2.09. You get back to the plan. And on Wednesday we have just a lesson also. It's not just a lesson in the sense that it's not meaningful and shouldn't take your full attention, but it's just a lesson in the sense that you don't have a discussion post. But do you notice this right away? That there are 31 slides in this one. You might want to, and look, there's those words I said that you'd need to know. So make sure you know those words from 2.09 and all your past history in school. And then also that you set aside enough time to go through and read 31 slides. Alright, the features that I wanted to point out on 2.10, I wanted to point out slide 16, so let me get there. Okay, so throughout the rest of this lesson, you're going to keep seeing this this mountain that shows the arc of a story and plot line in a fictional narrative. Now, you're going to need to know what all these words are, what an exposition is, a complicating incident, a rising action, a climax, and a falling action. You're going to need to know all of these separately. You're going to be able to need to, given these words, place them on a storyline. This mountain, to me it looks like a mountain, right? Put a little snow there, you got a mountain. And then also, you're going to be able to have to start identifying these features in the stories that we read. So make sure you really go through this, because look, it's going to go, it starts out with an overview, and then it's going to go through each one separately. So make sure you're paying attention and you're taking notes on what each of these things are. The last thing I wanted to do was show you here and in 2.10 is show you your discussion. Alright, so your discussion is right here. Remember, it tells you what you need to write about. right here. Let me get my pen tool. Change colors just for fun. Alright, so it's going to tell you what you need to post on, and you need to make sure you include both pieces. It's also going to show a rubric with how it's going to be graded, and it's going to give you a sample post. So if you're not sure what to write, you could look at this Jeremy, whose work is used earlier in the lesson, his sample planning guide. So Jeremy's going to be someone you hear about throughout this, this set of lessons. And then you want to keep note of this. You're going to go to 2.07 to post this discussion. So let me show you how to do that. I'm going to pause real quick and get there. Alright, so you remember in 2.10 it said go to 2.07 to post. So what I'm doing now is I'm showing you how to do that, because some discussion posts have been posted in the wrong place, which makes it very hard for me to grade. So you're going to go to, when you see these two bubbles, they're speech bubbles. That's a discussion post. So you're going to click on the discussion post, and then you're going to post under the appropriate, so you see that 2.07, where we're going to post our 2.10 discussion post, has 3 different posts. So you're going to post yours for 2.10 right here. Let me grab a pen. Right here. So you'll just open that up, and you'll view the topic. And then when you have your post ready, remember you saw Jeremy's example, you click on Start a New Thread. You type your post, my story, story ideas, and then you answer your post here. Share your post. And once you've done that, then you go to post. So that's how you post that 2.10 discussion post. So now Thursday goes on to 2.11, and if you remember on 2.11, I'm just going back to the home page, then I went back to the plan. Now I'm using the calendar and the plan to go back to the right week. 2.11 has 3 components, so you know this might take you a little bit longer. So you're going to open up 2.11, the lesson. And there's a couple things I want to point out here. I want to point out that it's going to be 11 slides, and then on slide 9, they give you that Jeremy, who we just saw in 2.10, they give you his model assignment so that you can start the planning stages of your fictional narrative. And then on 10, you get your assignment and the rubric. So your assignment is to figure out the basics of the storyline that you're going to be, basics of your story that you're going to be writing. Let me get my correct rubric open. So it looks like this. So you're going to fill out this form, and you need to be complete in your answers. But you don't have to write a paragraph in each area, but be complete. And how do you know if you're being complete and if you're doing a good job? You'll look at the rubric. Let me get back to the correct rubric. I have them all open for this. And you'll see exemplary, proficient, emerging at the top. You'll see that I'm going to be looking for your plot area, your conflict area, your character area, and you should be looking at these things too, your setting, and always your grammar, usage, and mechanics. So I'm going to be looking if you provided details about your setting. I'm going to be looking about how much detail you provided about the character you're going to be writing about that you're making up. I'm going to be looking at if you have a conflict in your plot story arc, you know, the story mountain. And I'm also going to be looking at if you have a lot of details in your pertaining to your plot. So, and then on slide 11, I wanted to point out here that make sure that you can, before you take 2.11's quiz, that you're able to answer all of these things correctly. You're going to want to, even if you can't give enough detail, you can check out this answer, but you can also go back to the earlier slides and find even more examples. Okay? You want to be able, this is an indicator of how you'll do on the lesson check. All right, we're going to wrap up our week next week, Friday, with 2.12. There are 21 slides in this book section, and it's about who will tell it. So it's going to go into point of view, right? It's going to look at dialogue in a fictional narrative, and it's going to look at organization of a fictional narrative. And then I want to show you slide 20. There is a graphic organizer to help you plan your fictional narrative, and it looks like this. Right here. And this, sometimes graphic organizers can make you feel like they're more work, but in this case, I want you to try it and see if it actually helps you have more complete work. And then what it's wanting you to do is look at, because this lesson 2.12 looked at dialogue and earlier lessons did too, it wants you to look at how do you use dialogue, and future lessons in this module are going to look at how do you punctuate dialogue. So dialogue is going to keep coming back up, so it's going to be very necessary in the fictional narrative that you're working up to writing. On 21, slide 21 in 2.12, you have another discussion post. So remember, what are you going to discuss? What you're going to discuss is right here. These are the 3 things you need to include. You have an example from Jeremy again, right there. That's what Jeremy came up with. And then where do you post it? You're going to also post this on 2.07. Another way you can get to it is like this. The arrow there, and it'll take you right there. So I think I misspoke. This is not on 2.07. This is its own new set of discussion threads on 2.12, and then there's going to be a related lesson in the future focusing on adjectives and adverbs. It's also going to be posted under 2.12. So that is our week in overview for the week of October 26th through the 29th. And I hope that you plan your week accordingly, and I can't wait to see your work.